Hey, for Few Goldilock Bears podcast with Vincent Cloud.
John Nemitz.
And Matt Hagen.
And we like to start the show off before we talk about our loves, hates, and indifference. What's the multiple word for indifference?
It's just indifferences.
Shit.
You're overthinking
I want indifference to catch on. Kind of like fetch, man. All right, but before we start, let's talk about some deja vus where we talk about old topics. Matt, what do you got for us?
Some refuences. So I read this article saying Bill Gates and Elon Musk both pound Diet Cokes on the regular. And I wanted to bring that up because it made me think better of my love for Diet Coke and diet sodas in general. I mean, if billionaires are doing it, then it must be okay for you, right? Because these guys, their whole thing is they want to live longer. They want to live forever, potentially. So I would imagine they have done their research, and it should be okay for you. So that was one quick one.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like liquids that you could ingest, I think diet soda has to be pretty far towards the non-fatal side of the spectrum.
And that's what I'm looking for.
When you think of things like, gasoline and whatnot.
Rocket fuel for Elon Musk.
Yeah.
And another one, I turned on Pluto TV on our Roku. If you don't know what Pluto TV is, it's like this free TV service. I think it's on Roku, Fire Sticks, all this sort of stuff. You can download their app, and it's free TV. Somehow I haven't done much reading on it, but somehow they've congregated all these channels. They've kind of made channels and put them all together. So it's like a cable package, but it's all free stuff. And there's a Fail Army channel on there, which made me giggle. Amy and I watched that for 15 minutes and had some giggles. So that was good. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, I always, when I turn on Pluto TV, I'm like, this is actually really cool what they've done. This is all free, like ad-supported stuff. And then I don't turn it on again for 6 months. And then so I come back in 6 months and I'm kind of checking it out. And Fail Army was new since the last time I saw it, I think anyway, but there's a lot of channels.
Yeah, isn't there like a Shout Factory or something that has like movies and stuff on it?
Ooh, I think
Could be.
Yeah, check it out.
I think they have Mystery Science Theaters.
Those
old episodes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Riff tracks and stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ooh, sweet. Well, I guess that's it. Are we ready to get into the show proper?
Sure.
Like, all right. Well, does anyone want to start off? I can if
feel free.
Sounds like you want to.
No, but I'm willing to take the bullet, man. Okay, so my indifference are the Boston Dynamics robots, man.
Oh no.
I know after I said that, I was like, oh shit, Matt did say sometimes we have to study this stuff. But my indifference always comes to me late, like in a dream, like a couple hours before the show starts, right? In a way. But hey, you see those videos, fucking robots moving, not like the traditional boxy robots at all. They're like walking around. You can shove them and they'll catch themselves, and they could flip and all this crazy ass shit they could do, and it looks so fucking fake. So you guys take.
I honestly don't know what this is. So John.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've been following these guys for years. And like I guess I was waiting to see where you were going with it. I assume
I really didn't go anywhere with it.
Oh, okay. So
it's true.
The good of them is like it's pretty freaking cool robot technology. Like they have like four-legged dog-like things. And yeah, like the videos are just them like abusing these robots, like trying to knock them over, like smacking them around with like hockey sticks and stuff. Of course, the dark side of it is they're just going to be used as like police dogs to like hunt us down and pin us into our houses and stuff. But the tech is cool. There's like literally a a Black Mirror episode that it's like pretty much those Boston Dynamics dogs.
Wow.
Nice. Now I know exactly what you're talking about, because yes, I do know that Black Mirror episode. Yeah, now that you kind of describe it a little bit more, I have seen some videos of people abusing robots and such, diddling them in various ways.
There's a pretty good video. You know who Michael Reeves is, the YouTuber?
No.
He does like a lot of robotic stuff, and he basically created a thing where he had one of those dog robots from them, and he built like a system where it could, I don't remember if you put a full keg on the back of it, but anyway, it could like pee beer into a cup based on like finding it with the camera,
Lift
then
his
walking
leg.
over on top of it. And then, yeah, that's worth checking out for sure.
Oh wow.
So,
Okay.
so,
Yeah.
so these ideas, they're leading somewhere, right? Like we're just, the whole idea is just making robotics better and better and better by putting them through various tests and having fun with it, right? Is that the whole idea?
Yeah, I mean, what these things specifically seem good at are traversing terrain that like a wheeled remote controlled thing could not really get through. Like they can climb stairs and like just get over like rocky areas and all that kind of stuff. So they're really figuring out the 2 or 4-legged mobility aspect of robotics.
Yeah.
Sidebar, I just had a random thought. Like I read some article about the San Francisco Police Department wanting to get more involved in robotics, but then there was a bunch of pushback. I forget specifics on it. Did anybody else hear anything about that?
No.
Like it was dangerous, like really, really dangerous what they were thinking about doing. I don't know. That's kind of a blank spot, but I seem to remember something in the past couple of weeks about that.
Yeah, we should look into it. It might have been these specific ones.
Yeah, that's what made me think of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know. I kind of just presented it, but I was, the thing is that how terrifying it would be, because I don't know. It's the uncanny valley. It looks really weird. And of course, it's always them getting abused, shoved around and stuff. And for me, I'm like, it looks so lifelike. And I feel bad for the robots when they're being thrown about and stuff. And I'm like, stop it. It's not alive. You know what I mean? But the way it like will lift itself up, or when it like stumbles, it's too fucking weird looking. And I don't want to see that shit years later when we are getting, hunted down, and I shove him and he he's like, oh, the memories,
So that makes me think of a couple things. First of all, I remember when Furbies came out, and like, don't they get upset if you like hold them upside down or something?
Whoa.
God.
Whoa.
Yeah. So like they
No.
did studies and they found like, like children actually feel like emotional discomfort when told to like, basically hold a Furby upside down and like just not like, give in and flip it over again.
Wow.
The second thing, and this might be too much of a tangent, but have you heard of the thought experiment called it's like Rocco's Basilisk or something like that? Basically, the idea is that someday inevitably there will be like a global AI that runs everything, and it's going to punish anyone who tried to stand in its way and reward anyone who like helped bring about its existence. So, and then the idea being it can look back at all records and everything and see where people stood on AI, and yeah.
It's like, look up the podcast a few holy shit.
So, if you want to get anything on the record about how you're pro global,
well, that's exactly what an AI
dominated
would do,
AI.
right? I mean, it would have to link you to your profile in some way, but that's probably not that difficult. But and then all the Christians will be saying, well, this is God. God came in a different form, right? So sinners
Yeah.
repent.
Holy shit. Okay, so but AI, Chat GPT, or is that what it is? Is that the letter?
I do want to bring that topic up at some point, but
Yeah,
we
for
can do it
some
now.
reason, well, it was too big for me. I was like, but I was like, okay, I understand robots walking around and shit like that. So, but have those two met yet, or are scientists make sure, like, we make sure they're not even in the same state? You know.
There is no
So-
control over any of this. Go ahead.
So like what we call like the leading edge AI right now is really like a discipline called machine learning, which is basically you just teach like this model with like just a ton of input data, like thousands and thousands and thousands of like pictures, or millions of lines of text, or whatever you're trying to train it on. And basically it's like just at random you flip a bunch of different knobs and levers and stuff, and you just see what combination of settings ends up giving the best predictions or like the best output. And then that's your model. So then the idea is that when it gets new data, it's going to treat it the same as the old data, but like kind of be able to give output that's relevant to that data.
How do you know
So-
what the best output is, though? How do you
You
know?
don't. It's trial and error. So you just like basically, try a million different things and you keep one that did the best.
Yeah, but somebody's got to. What determines which one's the best?
Oh, so basically, like your input data that you train it with, the value. So like this is an orange, this is a hot dog, whatever.
So
And then-
there's humans that are saying there's humans determining right and wrong in this
in the
scenario.
beginning, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then as you go along, you can feed in like the things it got right and the things that it got wrong into further training sessions to tune it. But in the end, like nobody knows, including like the program itself, how it arrived at the decision that it arrived at for any specific case. So that type of technology is used very much by like self-driving cars and stuff to like identify stop signs and speed limits and all that stuff. So like when you get the CAPTCHA and you're like, oh, help me find all the traffic lights, like you're literally like helping train the next version of their ML model. Yeah.
Is that right? Is that
Yeah.
right? Okay.
I don't know
I've
if this
never
is
even
an
thought of that.
indifference to me anymore.
We can
Wow.
have a much bigger Chat GPT discussion but that was really good. I've never heard it described in those ways, or how you even start along this line of thinking. So that was good. Good explanation.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and then of course, if Vince, if you want to share on the social medias these cool logos that
God.
the crayon came up with for us. I mean,
Yeah. So that's kind of like not quite chat bot, I'll call him AI, but like another little thing, because I'm seeing so much more of that now. AI art. Yeah.
yep. Or like music, like here's all of Beethoven's work. Hey, why don't you come up with a new original work of Beethoven, basically?
What?
Yeah.
Wow. I haven't heard that. I don't know. For some reason I get I shudder. It is freaky. Are you scared, Matt? Are you scared, John? Or are you guys just like 5 words?
So I guess it all depends on the application when they start using it for like like the legal system, like who to come and arrest, what kind of sentences to give out, like all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Like everyone's going to claim like, oh, this is like a neutral thing, like it's what the algorithm tells you or whatever, but it's all trained on biased data. So whatever biases we've been using in the past are going to continue with that unless we, start completely from scratch.
Wow. Oh, and that's happening. Someone's going to let them represent them in court, an AI, for like a traffic violation or something like that. But still, like that is
Yeah.
freaky as shit. What about you, Matt? Do you give a damn?
It's yeah, I give a damn. It's just everything is in its infancy. Although you know, stuff like this has been worked on for decades and decades, but it's all still in its infancy. It's a little bit scary, you know, and you know, there's never, well, Pandora's box was referenced a couple times last episode. I mean, we've opened up Pandora's box. There's no going back, and there's money to be made, man. Money to be made, and it's always faster and more intelligent, and capitalism. Somebody's gonna have to beat somebody else out, so things could spiral. But we're living in interesting times.
You know what? This actually kind of pivots to something I was gonna use as an indifference in the future, but I could use it today instead.
Yeah, let's do it.
The idea of like trying to like prevent a technology from being developed because of its potential use for evil, basically. So like, you know, like obviously fits very well into the topic of AI and all this stuff we're talking about. You know, in the past, you could have thought like, what if we would have halted all like, you know, like nuclear technology, experimentation and all of that stuff in the past. And, you know, I've been reading a couple fiction books that were heavily on that topic about like, you know, and they were science fiction. So it's, you know, it wasn't real stuff that exists, but, you know, like if you could create time travel, but it had certain side effects or something, like, would you want to prevent that from being developed? And I don't know, I'm kind of the thought that no, like you're not going to get everybody in the world to agree not to develop the technology. So you just need to make sure that early on in tandem that you're developing like a framework to deal with it. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I tend to agree with that. You know, you got to be very careful when you're dealing with this sort of stuff, and ultimately, it is one of those things. Well, you know, if there's some disgruntled employee that can just flip a switch and all of a sudden all the bad shit starts happening, well, that's sort of a problem. You know, there needs to be fail safes to this. But you talk about Chat GPT, and this stuff writes code. I mean, I was actually doing a little bit of experimenting with it. It writes good code, but you know, it's one of those things where you got to give it very specific instructions on what you want it to write, but it'll write code. So ultimately, once it gets sophisticated enough, and develops a mind of its own, what is to stop it from writing its own code and building its own malicious software to do malicious things? Yeah, it's very, very difficult to imagine containing that sort of idea. How do you contain that sort of idea? I guess maybe ultimately you can just pull a plug, and that'll shut down a bunch of server farms, and maybe that'll do something. I don't know, but I don't know. Again, this is all in its infancy, so these are really big topics that people much smarter than me hopefully are thinking of.
So this is okay. So the main thing is like it's indifference because you're like, you think something could happen, like your fear, like this is going to have a bad effect. So should you try and destroy it? That's the main thing. Like,
yeah, exactly. Should you try and prevent some kind of technology from being developed?
You're right. I mean, there is no way to do it. The world that we're living in, there's no way to prevent this sort of thing from happening. But, you know, eventually certain regulations are going to need to be put in place. That's where governments get involved. But we all know the dirty money in government. So again, very difficult subject. But yeah, there's no going back at this point.
okay, so I guess I don't know what popped in my mind, John, about like your perceived. I don't know. I just thought of not necessarily technology, but I guess it is. Just in Wisconsin, there was a doctor who did not believe in the COVID vaccines. So he took them out of the fridge and let like a shitload of
Oh yeah.
vials go to waste. Is that kind of what you were saying? Like you're like how like this guy truly believed it was no good and that it would just begin something horrible for mankind. And he took it upon himself, even though he's a fucking doctor. Oh God.
Yeah. I mean, not exactly. It's more like, like in the early 1940s, nobody knew how to build an atomic bomb, and a lot of research was still required to make it happen. And we did the research and made it happen, basically. So like, something like that, like, should we halt that kind of research when it has like obvious destructive potential?
I think I had a conversation with our old friend Jesse. I believe we were talking about that they wanted to make a black hole in wherever the fuck they
Oh,
did
like in
it.
CERN or wherever.
Yeah, but I don't know if we were joking or whatever, but we were talking about like we gotta go over there and like stop it or something,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just what popped in my mind when you were talking about like the should we do this, and I don't know. It's heady shit. I'm not ready for it.
Yeah, these are
Yeah.
gigantic topics that are very difficult for anyone to wrap their brains around and what the repercussions are. So
Oh, now I feel better because I'm like, oh my God, I'm barely hanging in here.
no, we're all just hanging in there, man. Yeah, I mean, worst case scenario, Terminator, right?
Oh shit.
It's the world we're living in.
Woo.
Or I guess worst case scenario is the world just blows up because AI decides to blow it up.
Oh, like, the worst thing about Earth is human beings. So like, I'm just going to get rid of them and shit like
Yep.
that.
We're the ultimate parasite.
We could
Yeah.
accomplish our goals a lot better if it wasn't for these pesky humans.
Yep. That's exactly right. Well, that is Terminator, right? That's the origin of Terminator, was just I believe so. It's been a long time, but exterminating humans because they got to go.
What if, I mean, they're smart, but what if they're like able to figure out that not everyone's terrible? Like maybe they're so smart they're like, oh, that guy's a fucking prick. We kill him, but that chick's all right. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, you have to strategically pick certain people. I mean, janitorial needs are going to be evident, so we're going to need some humans to do janitorial things. That no, I mean, who the hell knows? Who the hell knows when you get to a point like
I
that?
haven't seen a robot clean a toilet like I can.
What the hell the needs of the robots will be at that stage, but yeah, they might need a few. You'll be one of them, Vince. I'll make sure of it. I've got it in with the robots.
Oh man. Well, next. Something else heady,
Next.
Matt. What do you got
Yeah.
that's gonna blow up?
Something heady. What the hell do I got a heady one for you. All right. I'm indifferent to the royal family. This is heady stuff for you. I don't hate the royal family. I think there's plenty of people, especially in America, that just hate the royal family, but really it feels like the Kardashians of the United Kingdom. I think that's kind of what it is these days. So I don't understand it. I don't understand why people follow the Kardashians, let alone the royal family. I don't understand why it's so fascinating to follow every little thing going on with this family. Why millions show up for a funeral for the queen? Why millions show up for the wedding of this princess with this prince, etc., etc. I'm never going to understand this, but Is there anybody here that does kind of understand this? Anybody here?
John?
I definitely don't care what they're up to on a day-to-day basis. I find it
Week to week, though, you're
interesting-
good, right?
Oh yeah, week to week, absolutely.
Gotta know what's happening.
It is somewhat interesting, just like to know there's people around that you can trace their lineage back, 1,000 years or whatever.
Ooh, all that incest? Yeah, man. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. But yeah, as far as like the reality TV type aspect of it, like I don't care.
Like these were kind of the original influencers, right? These are kind of the original reality stars before reality TV was even a thing. It's kind of the way I look at it.
Yeah,
I don't,
and
I don't
it is
hate
weird.
that.
Like at some point they made, the transition from, absolute monarch appointed by God to figurehead to do like diplomacy and stuff to like no actual power, but you do ceremonies and whatnot. Yeah,
See,
I don't know.
I would think that their influence would be dying out as the generations pass, their influence would die out, but I don't think that's the case. It feels like they're not more powerful than ever, but they're more powerful than ever from a Kardashian standpoint. But maybe that's just the times that we're living in, and maybe they will fade, but not that I really care. That's England's problem.
You keep bringing up the Kardashians as a comparison, but
Yeah.
with what ass? I looked.
What ass?
Okay, so well, hey, guess what, guys? Listeners, we're all Americans, and I'm Native American. So growing up,
You just got to be more American than us, don't you?
oh yeah. So growing up, I'm like, wow, all these white people, they came over here to get away from all that shit, and any movie about them, they win the Oscar, and like I don't know. I always found it so confusing. But
when are the Pilgrims ever going to be a hate for you, Vince? I want to can't wait for that.
Oh yeah,
Pilgrims,
Jesus Christ! You're gonna be overdosing with those 5 words the whole time. So yeah, it is, but it's almost kind of it's a head scratcher, and it's also kind of cutesy that the I'll just white Americans still like, oh, what about the family and stuff. It's like, like you can't, you got out of a horrible relationship yet you still drive by the home. I don't know. I don't know the comparison. It's very confusing for me, so I can't even imagine how it is for poor you guys.
So like, like Disney has us watching, like princess movies through our entire childhoods.
Oh my
and then,
gosh.
The idea that there's real world princesses around and stuff might be appealing to some people.
I get
Like what are their lives like?
And while Vince was talking there, that made me think of
I completely started thinking of something else.
Finally a chance to collect my thoughts.
That's not what I was trying to go for there. But, so I was thinking just national pride, right? It's like following the soccer team for the World Cup, right? Maybe it's just for the good of England, or whatever the hell the England slogan is.
So
yeah, maybe.
Okay, say the 3 of us, we go to the kingdom, man, and we see, who's the guy in charge now? The son, William, right?
I don't even
King
know.
Charles, of course.
King Charles, okay. And we see him. Do you think something in the DNA, you're like, oh shit, we gotta respect this man? You guys don't crack a joke. I'm like saying, like, look at how big his fucking ears are. You know what I mean? But you guys are like, shh, respect.
He does have
Respect
big
this.
ears, right? I think I've seen some picture where he has gigantic swollen fingers. Like somebody thinks that, like, apparently he has some sort of heart condition that
Oh,
nobody really knows about, or it's
well,
a secret.
that's no fun.
Well,
Cracking jokes at that.
I will tell you, I went to England with my wife, and we took a tour bus where the main thing I wanted to see was Stonehenge, but it also stopped at Windsor Castle along the way, and they like showed us like all the, you could go walk around certain areas of it, and they had like the changing of the guards with the guys in like, what are those called, like beefeater caps or whatever. And I mean that was kind of cool just to see like, oh, this is the tradition that they've been doing this thing like, you know, every day for hundreds of years in, you know, like a certain fashion. Like just the history and tradition of it is kind of interesting to me.
Okay.
As far as
Now-
feeling like a reverence for like the individual monarchs and stuff, I don't think I really have anything though.
I don't think I would either.
Okay, so you know, you mentioned how like the family, they don't really have any power anymore. It's just like to kind of show up and like cut a ribbon or something like that, right? So my tribe, our chief, I grew up next door to him. Like he was in the neighborhood. I know him. I know the future chief, you know, the two sons that he has. One of those two are gonna take over, you know. And I knew that guy casually before he became the chief, because when his you know, the father passed away and stuff like that. So that is extremely bizarre, where I'm like, I don't know, you see him in newspapers like shaking hands and stuff, and yeah, it is but there's no disrespect, but there's also no awe in me at all, like, oh my god, you're the chief, you know. It's, yeah.
So how many people is he chief over?
Oh, geez, I have no idea. I don't know how many of us there are, actually. I never looked that up. How many of there are you, John?
Of Minnesotans?
Yeah,
Americans?
how do Native American tribes even work? Like you can do
We
your
don't.
research and then nice and
I'm just
short
more
and
looking for
simple.
an order of magnitude, like dozens, hundreds, thousands.
Thousands, sure, yeah, like, yeah.
Okay,
Um,
well then, so that is more surprising that you like live next door to him then. Like it's,
Oh, right, yeah,
yeah.
okay, yeah. There's only like 50 of us. Yeah, but it is so bizarre. Like you know, I never considered him anything except for our neighbor. And again, like if any natives listen to this, oh my gosh, so I gotta go like, oh chief, you said this, you know. Probably, I don't know. But it's just, he was just some dude, and he eventually became the chief, and he is, and I know the sons, and I went to, you know, I rode the bus with those sons a lot when I went to school, and I'm sure people mature over the years, so yeah, I'm
At least
hoping
you're
for
hoping,
that.
right?
Yeah.
I know this is different, but like, you know, like working in the corporate world, you know, when I first got my first job, I saw like the directors and VPs of these like high up people. And now I've been working long enough that, you know, people who I've worked with my whole career are now getting promoted to like those levels of positions. And it just, yeah, seems way less mystified than it used to. It was like, okay, so maybe those people before weren't like, didn't necessarily know what they were doing, or you know, like they weren't like super qualified amazing people. They were just people who kind of worked their way up like everyone else.
Yeah, we're all on our own, just trying to figure shit out. Going back to the AI robotics thing.
Yeah. The only thing I'll add is, after the queen did die, I heard like a lot of Americans did take her to task online and shit, and say like, why are we even bothering mourning this person who, you know what I mean? And I was pleasantly surprised. I just figured everyone would be crying in the streets and stuff like that.
I mean,
Yeah.
that the royal backlash, I think, is a very real thing, and it's been going on for many, many years. But that was like the defining moment. You know, that's this elderly woman, she's been hanging on forever. She's 98 years old or whatever it was. I think it was 98, and she dies, and then that's when all the trolls come out of the woodwork for sure. But
Matt,
You think they're-
oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just gonna make a dumb joke, but Matt, as a comedy
Me
Bang Bang
too.
fan,
Me too.
Royal
imagine-
Watchers,
yeah, you're more interested in what the Grizz is up to.
I am more interested in the Grizz. I'm way behind on podcasts, so actually, I don't know if I've heard the Royal Watcher since the Queen died, to be honest. But
Oh yeah, they made a big
Heard
thing
of
out
that.
of that for sure.
all right,
All right,
Royal
should we-
family. We're all still pretty indifferent.
I'm wondering if if you lived there and you did see them all the time, you'd be you wouldn't be mystified at all.
So they're like showing up on the TV all the time. They're in the news constantly and whatever. So you're saying living there and seeing them all the time? That's what you mean?
I don't know. I'm not really sure.
What if you had the opportunity to be knighted? Would you turn it down? You're like, oh, this is bullshit.
No, I would get knighted for sure.
Sir Matt Hagen.
Yeah, call me sir. Yeah.
What happens though? Like, what do you, besides the title, what do you get? Something else like free McDonald's for life?
That sounds like more of an American thing.
Chips,
Free
chips from
fish and
McDonald's
chips for life.
Free bangers and mash.
Yeah, bangers and mash. All right, are we ready to move on?
Ready?
Gosh, I hope so.
Okay. A little heady, I suppose, in a way. I don't mean it to, but I hate gun owners.
Stop there. Mhm.
Their eagerness to use on an intruder. Like they're always just like, oh, I wish they'd come here and try it. Like
I like how you put that accent on. Keep going.
Now, okay, I know plenty of people who own guns. Maybe you guys are packing heat right now. I don't know. Are you?
I have a laser tag gun right here.
Oh. Oh man, I bet you feel like a real man.
And I have plenty of Nerf arrows laying around my desk here.
Oh,
shit.
Somehow during Christmas we went from 0 Nerf guns in our house to 8. So there's darts laying all over.
But you keep them locked up, right?
Keep them
I mean,
locked
that's
up. Of
responsible.
course.
got the
Of
trigger
course.
lock on them.
Vince, do you want to finish your thought? Where are we going with this?
I'm so scared to.
Keep going. Keep going. You're the
Okay,
one that
well-
want to talk about it.
All right. Well, again, I know people who own guns. I actually was thinking, like, what if I say I'm indifferent to guns? But then I could imagine pissing off some gun owner, like, oh yeah, are you indifferent now?
Yeah, because now they could just be like, you hate this? And you're like, yes, I do.
Very much so. Yeah.
This is on brand.
But like, it's okay. Hold on. Let me look here.
So
So
study carefully. Wrote some
So the
very
whole-
specific notes. Go ahead.
So it's very much like, oh, there's if there's an intruder, well, he's gonna have a surprise, won't he, and stuff like that. It's always just like they're so giddy almost, they're always
Yes.
just kind of laughing, kind of smirking, like and they talk about like, oh, the government's gonna try and take my guns. Oh, I'd like to see him try. Those are so if the government does try and take your guns, which I don't think they're trying to, I think they're trying to keep offenders from getting guns in the first place, or to get guns or
that's
something.
one of the
Right?
biggest misconceptions about anything to do with Republican versus Democrat is 90% of Democrats do not want to take your guns away.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just the biggest talking point out there, but it's
Right.
totally not true.
right. And it, but even if they wanted to, and because I was talking to a friend of mine about this, and he said like, but that would be the government, like where you, or the police. You all these people who claim to be like, oh, the blue line and shit like that, but once they come for your guns, you're totally okay to shoot at them and stuff like that. And then finally, fucking soldiers shoot people and have PTSD. And it's not like they're good, from like miles away sometimes, maybe they'll never see the people they killed, but you're going to be in that house, in that room with them. You will live with that. And it's all these people who have never taken a life, but there's just so like, woohoo, like I can't wait till the day it shows, it's just, and it might be just guys talking shit around me, it might be just that.
So you actually are around people that talk like this? Like, I'm not around people that talk like this. I think maybe I have in the past, but I haven't heard this stuff in a long time. It's all over the internet. You're going to see this crap, but you're actually around people that talk like this?
I mean, I have heard that, it doesn't happen a lot. And like I said, I have some friends who own guns, and they're not shitty about it. I mean, sometimes they'll get real drunk. They're like, check it out, bro. I'm like, put it away. It's like, this is how people die. Like, I don't know. I never get into guns at all. Like, that's not my thing, but I don't think I'm against guns, but I don't know. It's just, that's my main thing. Their eagerness to take a life when you've never taken a life. You don't know how that's going to fucking be. Yeah, that's my main thing.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because like I know in Minnesota to like get a concealed carry permit, you have to like take classes and stuff. And like the people I know who have gone through that have a much different outlook towards it. In fact, my neighbor runs a route where he sells like tools and hardware and stuff to like businesses. And he was actually like robbed at gunpoint in Minneapolis. And he had said he was glad he didn't have his gun with him, because that would have likely escalated the situation and ended up with a worse outcome.
Yeah.
And that's what I always just think about is like, I can't imagine a situation where me having a gun makes the situation better. Like,
you will look cooler, John.
No, that's true. Other than just, like walking around and brandishing it.
Yeah, I think if you're talking about odds, statistics, yes, I think you're absolutely right. Guns make the situation worse, as opposed to just you're getting robbed, you lost your money, maybe it was a lot of money, oh well, life moves on. I mean, if we're playing the odds,
Oh yeah, and like don't like castle laws or whatever they're called, like stand your ground laws, only just increase the mortality of home owning, gun owning people.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. Where to go with this topic? This is a big topic Vince has brought up. Yeah,
I have a tangent one too. One
this is going to be the longest podcast ever. So I generally agree with you. I like that. I think you're right. There's a certain amount of glee. There's a certain amount of smugness having something in your hand that can end somebody's life. It's the power of God, the power of God. I mean, I am not a gun owner. I have thought of becoming a gun owner for various reasons, just to have it. But of course, you lock it up. But that's always kind of one of those things too. Like you lock it up, and then actually you have the moment where you need it. You have a home intruder, and somehow you hear that home intruder break into your house, and then you got to go into your closet, into the little corner of the closet here.
I'm writing all this down.
The case, and then you got to put the combination in, and while all this is going on, like you're gonna have that couple of minutes to get your gun out. It all seems kind of silly. All of it just ultimately seems kind of silly.
What would that combination be, by the way? Your birth date?
007, baby. I understand gun ownership, and I understand people wanting to protect themselves and all that. But yes, there is a certain, we use the word culture a lot. There is a certain culture about it that is really off-putting.
Yeah. And again,
so
friends.
I feel similarly about like the prepper people, like the doomsday preppers.
Yes. Yeah.
Like they're so excited for the apocalypse to happen so they can break into their canned beans and shit.
You know what? I'd rather have their dream come true than the
Thanos bullshit. Terminator. Yeah, it's coming. It's sooner than you think.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's
If
tying
climate
in.
change doesn't kill us, the Terminators will.
Oh my gosh. What if it rains Terminators, guys?
Ooh. Fill the
Or
ocean with Terminators.
liquid metal. It rains liquid metal Terminators.
Hell
I
yeah.
like that. All right, are we ready to move on? Even though I'm sure we'll be dipping back into guns. I know I will.
John, did you have that tangent?
No, yeah, just
Oh,
the
right.
prepper, the
Okay,
doomsday
the
prepper
prepper
thing.
one? Okay.
Yeah, because that was like the first thing I thought of when you said your topic. Because yeah. All right, for my next topic, should I go into my more heady one or my more frivolous one?
Both at the
I'm
same time.
Yeah. Your pick, man.
All right, let's get the headiness out of the way, then we'll keep it going. So what I hate is basically how well, I send it to you guys as scapegoating personal responsibility. And what I mean by that is where there's like large systematic problems where everyone in the world is incentivized to work, to do and act a certain way. And the solution that people come up with is like, well, everybody should just do the right thing. When, like doing the right thing isn't in any individual's best interest. It's better to just work with the system as intended. But if everybody does that, then there's problems. So, like a more like, one example would be with like, we talk about like sodas and stuff. Like they used to be sold in glass bottles. You put a deposit on it. You return the bottle when you're done. They wash it, they reuse it. There's like no waste. Everything gets directly reused, not even recycled. Then they invented plastic bottles and they were pretty much disposable. And then they so there's, like these companies selling millions and millions of plastic bottles of whatever. But then they're like, oh, yeah, well, people just need to stop littering. It's like, well, littering wasn't a problem that existed under the old system, but then you as a corporation created a new system, but now you're blaming all the people who buy your product for, not doing the right thing or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And there are like systematic things that can help with that, like states that have at least a deposit on the plastic bottles and stuff, even if we're not going back to like the old glass bottles or whatever. But like just to like create a giant problem and then say like, oh, well, people need to go out of their way and spend their own money and, spend their own time to do the right thing. Like that's never going to work.
Gigantic topic again. My God.
I know.
We could go on for hours. So this goes back to the Pandora's box that opened up with AI, right? So it's not impossible to go backwards from where we are now, dealing with that specific example, plastic. But I think all of a sudden people realize plastic is really bad for a lot of different reasons. We really, really need to roll back on the plastic. And I really don't think there's a real big concerted effort at the highest level to do that sort of thing. I'm talking government intervention and intervention from the gigantic corporations that are controlling this stuff. So you're absolutely 100% right. There's a gigantic problem, but all we ever hear is what we individually can do. And yes, us individually, we can put a tiny little dent in this problem if we all, not even all, if all of a sudden we double the number of people that recycle or something. Yes, we can put a tiny little dent in this problem. But I think everybody knows where the problem really is. At least I hope everybody knows. But where is the intervention? There is no intervention. Where is it going to come from? Who the hell knows? Is there anything we can do about this? Gigantic conversation we could be having.
There was I don't remember where, but there was like some sort of technology where they're like, oh, it's going to eat plastic. It's going
Hmm.
to, yeah. I don't remember much about it, but I'm like, hey, there's something, right? Um, yeah, I don't know. It seems like we're making some stuff, like passing some bills to help with like, fossil fuels, get off of that and stuff like
Well,
that.
stuff slowly kind of trickles in, but there's
Yeah.
so much resistance to it,
Yeah, and
and how
like
much is it really
basically
changing anything?
what I hate is when like just saying like, oh well, if everybody did such and such, we wouldn't need a bill like this, and then that as an excuse to not pass anything. It's like that's true. If everybody did that thing you just said, we wouldn't have a problem. But clearly, that's not the reality of the situation.
And it's not like we have like, well, I guess we would. Is there like a big plastic? Like we're the only ones that put out the plastic. Like, it's
Well,
everyone
there's like
like
alternatives to plastic out there now. There's companies coming up with alternative packaging to plastic. I mean, we're really concentrating on just the plastic aspect of this, which is really interesting. Like
Yeah.
maybe we can have the bigger conversation some other time. We'll just concentrate on the plastic. But yeah, there's like a Footprint is like one of them that's a privately owned company out of Arizona, but they make like a plastic alternative, and that stuff actually is kind of trickling into more bigger companies too. So they're buying up this packaging, this alternate plastic, and it is becoming more and more widespread. So that's probably the best news that we've had in a long, long time, is there are real alternatives to it, but it's a matter of scaling that up and making it cost competitive with plastic, but
Remember when Sun Chips had those bags that were like compostable or whatever, but they were really loud, so everyone hated them?
I don't remember this.
Oh,
No,
really?
no.
oh my
Oh,
gosh.
that was a thing.
It was right
So
there. Oh my god.
So it was a more environmentally friendly packaging, but people didn't like it because it crinkled more. Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
that's 100% the
So they
situation.
got rid of it because it was hurting
Yes.
sales. Oh my God.
I'm just so overwhelmed, like with this the whole podcast so far. I'm like all these things.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know. I'm personally
It's
ready to
tough.
move on to something a little bit more lighter, perhaps.
This is tough. This is tough stuff. Hey,
Yeah.
gigantic questions again. I mean, it's like it to me, it's really it sucks kind of it's mentally exhausting trying to harp on these problems. Really, there's sorry to say it, folks, there's nothing we can really do. Us individually. What is going to change? What can change? John, any thoughts on what can change?
Nope.
All
I
right,
was
moving
just
on.
holding up the number 5, that's all.
And technically, it's only 3, but 2 are reused in the exact same order. Oh, okay. Oh, so you had a hate, Matt, of Elon Musk, right? Even though he's bringing electric cars. What would happen if he was like, I'm going to invest in that technology that eats plastic? Would that kind of balance the scales a little bit for you?
Well, he's still a shithead, but yeah, I mean, if he's yeah, if there's money to be made in various things that are going to help the planet, I'm all for it. And if he's the guy that's going to bring these ideas to the forefront, hell yeah, I'll think slightly better of him, sure.
All right.
But there has to be money to be made. That's the problem. I think that's the issue with any of these big gigantic topics is they could be fixed if there was money to be made from fixing it.
Yeah. All right. Are we ready to move on to brighter pastures or whatever the term is called?
Sure, I can do mine. So I have a love of single player video games. I don't want to really get into any specific games, just the idea of when I have a single player game, sometimes I don't really get into them, but other times if I really latch onto a single player video game, it's so much fun. I get so much joy out of it. It makes me feel like a kid again. So just recently I started playing Mad Max. This is a video game from 2015. I got it recommended to me from my brother. It's a big open world. It's a lot like Fallout, but there's vehicular combat going on, and it's a lot of fun. I'm getting a lot of glee out of it. And
Like Mad
it's just
Max,
this-
like the movie franchise.
like the movie franchise,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, there's just some simple pleasures out of just having a single player experience. But to double up, I hate multiplayer video games most of the time. Most of the time. I'm going to have an alternate smaller hate later, but I hate because there are no rules on this podcast. I've decided.
Apparently not.
I hate multiplayer games because I get into these games with people that are so much better than me, and it gets so frustrating, and I end up walking away feeling shitty about myself, even though I think I should be able to rise above all that, but I can't, because I occasionally there's like a moment where I feel like I'm hanging with everybody else, but then ultimately I get smacked and put right back in my place, and it sucks. So I love being in my isolated single player bubble, and I hate venturing out. I don't play a lot of video games, but that's the way I feel. It's all about how I feel. Is it fun or do I hate it? I want to have fun. Do you guys want to have fun?
Yeah.
I do want to have fun.
Okay, well, shit, man. There was this amazing game, although it is multiplayer, and I experienced exactly what you said. It's called Multiverses, and it's basically all of WB's characters fighting each other. Rick and Morty, Bugs Bunny, Wonder Woman. It's basically Space Jam Legacy.
Michigan J Frog.
No,
That's an unlockable character.
Yeah, unlockable, exactly. But I cannot get over how it just landed. Maybe I was like a week or two late to the party, but I was able to play as Bugs Bunny, my fucking pal, and I got to fight Morty and kick his ass and shit, right? And that was really fun. But then what sucked about it is that you get to level up. So after a while, I could hit Morty in the face. Back then, he would go flying. This time, he kind of goes back, and then he just hits me some more because he's leveled up. He kept playing, And so eventually, I was completely lost. I could not win anymore. It sucked. It was horrible.
So you were playing against another human player? Is that what you're saying in that game?
Yes, but I do.
Okay.
I will say though, I prefer multiplayer over single player though.
Okay.
But if you want to talk single player, of course you have the classic Mario and also Paperboy. Love that game.
Paperboy.
Yeah.
That's a nice
Classic.
ref.
Oh yeah.
So I mostly agree with you, Matt, with the exception that I love cooperative multiplayer games.
I love cooperative multiplayer games too. Like me and my brothers were halfway through Borderlands 3 right now, and that's a lot of fun because you hang out with people that you know, but a bunch of strangers kicking my ass, that's not fun.
Well, I gotta say though, playing Halo, playing UFC 3, nothing is sweeter than defeating someone else from another part of the world. It's so good. Oh my gosh. It might not happen all the time, but when it does, whoo, it's like a direct shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would imagine if I was good at these games and I could kick somebody's ass from half across the world, I would love it too, but c'est la vie.
Ooh, and when they that is what I like right there. Say that. Say la vie.
C'est la vie. It is what it is, folks.
Oh shit. And then when you defeat someone who's talking on the mic, talking shit the whole time, and then sometimes you'll have someone who's has a brother there, and you'll fight him in round 1, but then he gives the controller to his older brother in round 2, so it's a completely different person, and you still beat him. Oh my gosh, it's so fucking good.
You've had some good multiplayer experiences. Wait, where were we exactly?
Single player games, right? Single player games.
Forget. I was saying something. Yeah, I got cut off in the middle of something. I
I
forget.
think all I was doing was talking about multiplayer games, but no, single player games,
Oh,
fun,
let
lots
let me
of
go.
fun. Yeah, for sure.
So you have had some good multiplayer experiences, which is awesome. You seem to be pretty good. So is it so I've never even heard of this. So it's some sort of fighting game, right?
Yeah.
Is that kind of your go-to, or do you have lots of other multiplayer experiences
It,
that you
uh, it 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 has to be UFC 3, yeah, for sure. But Halo sometimes, I think what it is like just fighting another human being. I don't mind fighting the AI, but after a while, you could kind of predict what they're gonna do and stuff like that. For once, we're smarter than the AI for now. So I like playing against other people, and sometimes you'll have a good connection, and we'll have an as in like human connection, like, hey, good game, good fight, regardless of
PG?
who won. Yeah. But it's those ones, like there was this guy, you could create a character and he had a swastika on his chest, and I
How is
could
that an option?
well, you could try. Well, you're able to like put lines and like spell
Yeah.
stuff, and you could design it, and that's what he did. So I'm like, okay, not only am I going to report you, but I'm going to fucking beat you. And I did. It was so satisfying, and that ended racism forever.
Well, I've always been horrible at first-person shooter games, and I've always been horrible at fighting games. So, and I'm okay at like Mario Kart kind of stuff. So, yeah, I've always much preferred like single
Mm.
player, like platformers, roguelites, like all that kind of stuff.
See, like with an FPS, if I'm not playing multiplayer, I'm pretty good at it because, yeah, I'm just playing against the AI. This is kind of fun. Like recently, I played Doom 2016, and I had a lot of fun with Doom. It's got this heavy metal soundtrack, and it's just a hell of a lot of fun, gory fun, and I'm pretty good when I'm not competing against other people. That's what it comes down to.
All right, are we ready to move on?
Sure.
John, I think.
Mhm.
Vince, I believe.
I think it's Vince.
Oh, okay.
Should be your last one.
Ooh, all right, let's talk about my love. I love the album Wish You Were Here by the band Pink Floyd. And it kind of comes from, I mean, the reason why I loved it the first time is I just listened to it, I was like, oh, check out this band and check out this thing. And I took a walk to it all the time, and I just liked how it sounded and stuff. And then I like to look, behind the scenes, like making of and stuff. And that is like two combined where I'm like, Jesus Christ, this album is fucking amazing. So basically, Pink Floyd, they became huge with the album like before this, Dark Side of the Moon. Everyone knows that album, right? The fucking prism and um, so they had to follow it up. And like they were under so much pressure, but what they came out with was brilliant. It's basically Godfather Part 2. They're like, this is a sequel to Dark Side. So 2 songs are about the music industry. What happened after we released that? We got to know these fucking business guys. We had to experience going through the machine. Welcome to the machine and have a cigar, right? But at the same time, they're also the other 2 parts of the album. These 2 huge songs are all about the guy that got him there, that got him started. Like the leader of the band originally was Syd Barrett. 7 years ago, they made their debut, and he was basically the lead writer, like the leader, the singer, and stuff like that. And but after that first album came out, he quickly lost his mind to drugs, specifically acid. And they eventually had to say, like, oh, Sid, we gotta let you go. Like there was nothing in his eyes, like nothing was registering anyways, right? So they're like, he's just another victim of the fucking that acid shit that was going on in the late 60s, right? So they carry on without him, but they're like, okay, if with this new album, we're gonna Shine On You Crazy Diamond, the song, and Wish You Were Here are about Syd Barrett how he lost his mind, how wonderful he was, and it's such a tragedy that that's what became of him, you know. And wish you were here is you know, saying, hey, we wish you were here, but also the way that the lyrics are like, oh, you think you're in this, but it's actually a fire, you know what I mean? Like I can't think of the lyrics right now, but that's all about how what actually acid does to your brain, where you're like, you think you could see sounds, you know, and you, or you know, shit like that, or you touch a desk and you perceive that as a liquid or something. Like things are just mixing, and it's wonderful lyrics. I already talked about my hatred for Roger Waters. He wrote all the lyrics on this thing, and I fucking love them. I am devastated by these lyrics. I still hate him. He's still a prick. But yeah, I can't get over how crazy good this album is for me. And just to add upon that, I have known people that have lost their minds from drug use, from alcohol, and it is horrible to even think about. But yeah, this album, it means a lot to me.
Yeah, I'm definitely a big fan of this album.
So much so he takes off. Oh
yeah.
shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
got a copy of it here. It's one of the
Nice.
first ones I bought.
Nice.
When I was playing it earlier tonight in preparation, my wife commented like, "Oh yeah, you listen to that all the time when like going to bed when we were dating and stuff." Like,
Oh, shit.
but yeah, I mean, it's definitely in my top 3 Pink Floyd albums. I don't know what order, but huge fan of it. I love Shine On You Crazy Diamond, all 14 parts of it, or however long it is. Yeah, I didn't know, like I knew that Shine On was about Sid. I didn't know Wish You Were Here was, but I guess that makes sense. After your talking about Roger Waters last time, I made a point to like look up who was actually singing the lyrics for each of the songs. So that was something I never really thought much about before. And it was interesting that he pretty much wanted to sing all of them, it looked like, but
Oh yeah.
like
Jesus.
ruined his voice or something just singing Shine On You Crazy Diamond. And it said he had to like do it over multiple takes and stuff just because he couldn't get it right or something. According to the Wikipedia article, anyway. I don't know. But yeah, I love that album.
Been a lot of Pink Floyd on this podcast, Vince. Is Pink Floyd, there's a love-hate thing going on. Is Pink Floyd like one of your favorite, what do you call them, one of your favorite bands of all time? You find them fascinating.
Well, first of all, I only brought him up twice. I was only going to bring him up twice, Roger Waters and Wish You Were Here, but I had to bring up Roger Waters' anti-Semitism, and then you guys like said like,
Oh,
of course
right.
it is, and then I'm like, wait a minute, so I brought it back again. That's
Yeah.
the only reason why it seems
Well,
like I'm way more involved. But
that's good. I mean, we should all make it an assignment to listen to The Wall again, because I know we were all gonna. Well, we got to listen to The Wall. Yes, I got to go back to that. But I mean, every single week we should have a new Pink Floyd album that we got to listen to, because that'll make me skip past C through whatever is before O, and then I can go right to Pink Floyd. But yeah, this is a great album. I don't consider myself a huge Pink Floyd fan, but really I probably am, because every time I listen to Pink Floyd, I really dig them. I don't really find myself going back to Pink Floyd, but even when I first heard this album, like this album stood out, because I think sometimes Pink Floyd, they've got in my brain, they kind of have some filler on some of their albums. There's no filler here. I mean, it's proggy and it's maybe a little excessive and stuff, but none of it's really filler. I mean, and the style fits everything that we know about Pink Floyd. It's funky, it's bluesy, it's psychedelic and proggy. I mean, it's all there, and that's why Floyd's one of the best. They do all of that, and I mean, a couple of things. There's this. I actually listened to this album 3 times today while I was working. And the first time I heard it, it was fine. The second time I heard it, I was digging it more, and the third time I heard it, I had goosebumps in the crescendos in some of the songs. So it's one of those that really grows on you. But there's this keyboard flourish at the end of Welcome to the Machine. It's very, as it's fading out, it's very 80s, and it kind of makes me giggle. The second and third time I heard it, it's like it's really funny. It's like a preceding sound to what we're going to hear in the 80s, sort of. If you kind of lost, I mean, check that out. It's just kind of one of those. It's like it's only a few seconds. It's really kind of strange and doesn't really fit, but it's funny.
So had you ever listened to this album before this?
Oh yeah. This was
okay.
one. This is one I remember as a teenager. This one stood out to me, even more than Dark Side of the Moon and Animals and whatever else. But I haven't listened to it in like 15 years, like the whole album. So this was a good experience, and I really dig the organ sound with Pink Floyd. Like, I want more organ and rock music. Bring back the organ, man. But
who we talking? Steppenwolf, The Doors.
The door.
We're going way back. Like, I want
The Animals.
Yeah.
But the synth sound and Shine On You Crazy Diamond, especially the first track on the album, which would be part 1 through 5 or whatever, it really gave me some outer space vibes, which it's a concept album, but I don't really know the lyrics, and I really don't know the story behind all the songs. So I kind of had some more Dark Side of the Moon spacey vibes going on with that song, but that's just something I picked up on. And you talked about Wikipedia, but what I saw on Wikipedia was Have a Cigar was the only official single off of this album, which to me is the kind of the weakest song on this album, if there is a weak song. But I didn't really realize that, and maybe Wikipedia is full of it. I don't know, but it just kind of shows how the perception of things change over time. How Have a Cigar is probably the one song that most people wouldn't know off of this album, to be honest with you. But there's only 5 songs on the album, and 3 of them could be singles, and somehow they arrived at Have a Cigar. But I had a lot of fun listening to this, so give me more Pink Floyd assignments. I like it.
One thing, behind the scenes thing that always stuck with me is, they're like making the album, and they're doing some overdubs or whatever, and fucking Syd Barrett showed up. They didn't even notice him. He was just this big overweight guy, shaven head, shaving off eyebrows, holding a garbage bag, just fucking kind of not really saying much, or if anything, talking to himself and stuff. And it took them like a long time to realize who the stranger was, and it was him. Like, what are the fucking odds of him showing up and they're like paying homage to him, And apparently he didn't get it, what they were saying with the song. He didn't get a lot of stuff, So I always, that always stuck with me too. I just think back, and because they always did say, like, Syd Barrett was just this wonderful, charming, like, everything was so good about him. Like, that's what made them like, hey, let's join a band with this guy. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's captured so well. But like, again, if you ever met anyone who has unfortunately lost their mind and shit, the whole like, what's the thing? Like, threatened by shadows at night and exposed in the light, and like, you target for faraway laughter is horrible, because they don't even know it, but they're getting laughed at. People are, they look at someone who looks like a bum or someone crazy, it's, oh my gosh. So yeah, the lyrics are fucking beautiful, and I still hate Roger Waters. It's so crazy.
So like, how many albums was Syd actually involved in?
2.
The first 2, yeah. So
yeah.
Where do those 2 rank in your in their discography for you?
I've only really explored the big four albums, you know. Although no, I take that fucking back. I've listened to Obscured by Clouds, which I really, really like. Like that almost might be a love as well. And then Metal is very, very good. But I've tried to listen to that older stuff. It's just different, you know. It's just a totally different band because that was his, you know. And that's why they really didn't find their voice for 7 years after that, or 6 years. Yeah. And when they did, it was good. But yeah, you hear the music. They're struggling. They're experimenting. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like it's way different, but it's still really good.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There you go. Wish you were here. Next.
I think that's me, and my love for the week is snowshoeing, and this is a hobby I didn't pick up until last year. But I really latched onto it because, you know, living up where we do, it's winter half the year. So like I really wanted something that I can do that I actually look forward to winter, and like look forward to like a big snowfall, and you can get out and do something good, exercise, and go see places you normally can't see. Because one thing that's cool is you can like go off trails and stuff because you're just walking on top of the snow basically. And
Like Legolas.
Exactly. I get my bow and arrow out, and I just imagine that I'm Orlando Bloom.
You
But
act
from
okay.
but from Elizabethtown. But yeah, like not last time I went, but went, you know, unfortunately my virtual background isn't working, but the ice cave picture I had from a couple of weeks ago, that was taken on a snowshoeing outing. Saw some cool owls flying around and making noise and whatnot, and that was really cool.
And you were like, only with snowshoes would I be able to experience these owls.
It's true. If I didn't have these snowshoes, I would have been inside my house not experiencing the owls.
So this allows you to hike in the middle of winter. Do you feel powerful when you're able to glide above the snow, all angelic like?
I do.
Long Jesus hair and beard. Actually, you trimmed your beard a little bit.
Yeah, I did.
I'm indifferent to that. No.
Okay. Same.
That's what that is. Okay, I was like, John looks different. Uncanny Valley type. Okay, but John, it seems like a slow walk. Like, isn't it? Because they're so big. No?
No, it doesn't have to be. I mean, there's good types of snow and bad types of snow for snowshoeing. So if it's like pretty slushy and wet and heavy, then you're going to kind of slog through it regardless. But if you get like a nice powder, you can just kind of walk normally, and it's pretty good.
Where do you usually go to do this?
Just places like parks around here. There's like Fort Snelling, which is a state park, and places like that. Minnehaha Falls was where had the waterfall pictures.
Have you ever gone snowshoeing at Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Boundary? What was it called? In canoes?
No, the Boundary Waters. No, that'd be cool though. Like they definitely have like cross country skiing trails and stuff up there, and you can do that kind of stuff. And you know, people go winter camping up there, which I'm curious about, but so far not enough to actually do it.
Not that curious.
Yeah.
Man, so are there people that are pointing and laughing at you, Mr. Snowshoer? Because I feel like they're
like other snowshoers.
No, like people like look at that funny guy with his snowshoes, because you don't see a lot of people with snowshoes out there. I don't see that.
Well, are you out there?
No, not really.
I mean, like it's basically snowshoers and cross-country skiers, and then the occasional like fat tire bike comes by. But
Oh,
yeah, I don't know. It's not uncommon. It's not super common.
okay, okay.
But why not? Because I've cross country skied before.
Mhm.
You just prefer the nice. Why do you prefer snowshoes over that?
You don't need like a groomed trail or anything. You can just kind of go wander around wherever you want. I guess is the main thing.
So you like to go off roading, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds cool. I've never gone. I know I've never done that. My uncle owned two big, ancient-looking
Well, yeah,
snowshoes.
that's the thing too. Like I'd never done it before, and I'm like, okay, I'm picturing like strapping the tennis rackets to my feet or whatever, and like it's like space age shit these days.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like it's like lightweight materials, just like kind of big fans. They have like or like they fan out. I mean, they have like what do they call them? Like metal crampons or whatever on the bottom, so you can like get traction on ice and all that stuff. And
Wow.
Sweet.
I think I think I would try this. I used to really enjoy going on my hikes. Like I said, I would listen to "Wish You Were Here" on my walks and stuff, and that would go through like preferably wooded trails. So yeah, but I've never gone snowshoeing, so that could be cool. I think I might try it. Are they expensive, John?
oh yeah, like anything, you can spend as much as you want on them. So
Dang.
yeah.
How much did you spend on yours?
Oh, do I
Well,
have to admit that?
you seem to enjoy your experience. So how much did you spend on yours?
So admittedly, I did go
Come on,
to the
say it.
snowshoe
Don't change
store.
you're going to change
At,
the dynamic of the group. But go ahead.
I don't know how, but I didn't have a lot of options at the time when I bought them, so I went more expensive than I needed to. But they were like 220 or something like
Oh,
that.
that's not too bad.
I don't know, man.
I don't know. He's
Uh,
probably fudging that number a little bit, but
yeah, I don't know
okay.
if I trust him anymore.
All
And
right, well, I can.
where'd that beard go too?
Nice. Well, you've piqued my interest. Maybe I'll try that in some distant decade, but
and thank you for bringing up a subject that isn't so fucking dour.
I have
But
another
really, snowshoeing is in danger with global warming, and
No.
so many things are these days. It's a shame, but it is what it is.
All the children.
I have another dour subject.
oh,
Okay.
good.
So this is my supplemental hate, my smaller one.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't need to be a big hate. It doesn't need to be a big discussion, but this is dour. I hate coconut. Don't put coconut on things. I I I like coconut milk. Coconut milk has its purposes, but why are you putting this sandpapery stuff on desserts and things? Anything with coconut flakes on it is garbage. Rest my case.
And also you hate the fact that coconuts cover the boobs of Hawaiian girls.
Maybe that's where this all stems from. It's possible.
Wait, so you've never enjoyed an almond joy or a mouse? Wow. Okay.
No, I hate it.
I disagree. I definitely hated like shredded coconut when I was younger, and now I'm kind of indifferent to shredded coconut. Toasted coconut is pretty good, and like if you have like dried coconut, like the bigger chunks of it with sugar or whatever, like that I actually like quite a bit.
I don't think I've ever had any of that. All my experience is the flaky stuff, the gritty junk, and I dislike. Sorry. Sorry, coconut lovers.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I don't go out of my way for coconut, but I don't shun a coconut. Well, isn't there you said coconut milk? You said you enjoy that, right?
Sure, yeah, that has its purposes, and it doesn't. I mean, it's got a sweetness to it, but it doesn't taste like big in your face coconut to me.
Coconut milk curries are one of my favorite
Sure,
things
sure.
ever.
That's how you get that velvety texture.
But isn't there like a coconut juice or a coconut water, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Okay. Well, yeah, because I'm like milk. I don't know if I ever tried that, but I did drink something with coconut meat, I think they said in there. You ever hear that? What is that?
That's just the
Just the
fleshy
actual
part.
coconut?
Yeah.
Okay. But I don't know, it turned me off because I went to some grocery store and they were selling that sort of stuff, and I don't know, I got weirded out by it. It was gross. But I think overall though, I like coconut.
Wait, what do you think about coconut water, Matt?
I don't know. I've never had coconut water. Why would I have that? I don't like coconut. Why would I try coconut water?
I don't know.
Have you?
What
Have you tried coconut water?
Yeah, I like it. I went to India for work once, and that the roadside stands they sold like I think they're called like fresh young coconuts or something,
Ooh,
and it's like literally like like a quarter for one of them, and they just give you one. They lop the top off of it, shove a straw in it, and you're good to go.
wow.
is the water cold, warm? What's the temperature?
I mean, I guess they're probably like room temperature.
Ugh.
But like if you buy just like a thing of coconut water in the store, it's going to be in the refrigerated section. And then like to your point about the coconut meat or whatever, like there's pulped and non-pulped versions of coconut water. And when you get it with pulp, you're basically just like chewing chunks of coconut at the end, which I don't really understand the point of. But yeah.
You seem to know a lot about coconuts. I am more educated today. Thank you.
They're tough to crack open, right? Isn't that like a real thing? Like, Matt, if you were on an island and you're like, okay, fine, I'll eat the damn coconut, you probably won't be able to open it. Like, you need like a fucking sword, right?
I don't know, but
Or an ice skate.
ice. What is that in reference to?
Oh, okay. Castaway, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Oh, is it okay? I haven't seen that in a
Wow,
long
haven't
time.
even seen the whole thing, but I get that. That's great.
Tom Hanks, funny guy.
Oh, by the way, real quick, Tom Hanks, diabetic, has recently promoted this thing of diet Pepsi and champagne. He likes his diet.
What?
He likes his diet sodas as well, Matt. You're like Tom Hanks.
Wow.
Aw. Wait, so you mix Diet Pepsi and champagne together? Is that what you just said?
Well, he did that for 2023. It was just a happy accident. He's like, oh, now I recommend this. Bullseye,
Well,
Buzz. Yeah.
Tom Hanks is pushing the diet soda industry forward.
Oh shit! And to think people thought that he ate babies like only a couple years ago.
Bring us back around to that doctor throwing away COVID vaccines or whatever.
Yeah, it's all horrible. The world is terrible. All right, so do we have one more segment?
No,
No, we're
God,
done.
no.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah,
Maybe
this was so. I don't know. I don't even know if I got anything out of this. I'm just like, oh God. It's a sad reminder of these grim times.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I don't think it was too bad. I think it was a good discussion. It's a discussion everyone should have. Please, everybody should be having this discussion.
Yes, for sure. All right. Well, that's the end of the show. We don't have any futures. No futures.
Yeah.
Nope.
All right. Wait a minute. Hold on. Maybe I have one. Nope, never mind.
John, I got a question for you. We were talking about going to a car dealership So what car did you end up buying? I don't know what you're driving these days.
I got a 2014 Subaru Crosstrek.
Ooh, so that's a little fancier than I was expecting out of you.
Yeah, and I felt stupid about it until this winter. The roads have actually been horrible, and it's been nice having all-wheel drive.
Mm-hmm. I hear that. 85. 85.
I have a fuel up because we can't end the show on that. Okay, so
Why not? 85. Done.
Okay, so this is again with psychological weapons, right? Because I
Yes.
was talking about like how I don't like girls flirting with me or some fucking weird. Like I'm sure that's not gonna help my case. But it reminds me of this other experience where I was in dire straits and needed cash now. So I was like, oh, how about that fucking place, that check into cash thing? We have one in Eau Claire. I just drove by it. So, but I pick up the phone and I call and I'm like, hey, because I don't want to just jump in then and they prey on me and sell me whatever, you know. I just wanted some questions. And this girl picks up. She's like, "Hey, what do you need?" And blah blah blah. She's real sweet and stuff. And I'm like, "Oh, this and this or whatever." And she's like, "Oh, that's perfectly fine. You could just show up and we'll take care of it." I'm like, "Awesome, cool. Well, see you later." Show up there, and I'm looking for that cute girl. There's no cute girl. There's just Big Bertha there working, and and we're doing paperwork. And she gets a call. She picks up the phone. She's like, "Hello, this is," like her voice completely changes into that high pitched, sweet, girly voice.
So she was talking to you in her more manly voice when you were face to face with her?
Yes, because after that, she's like, "Okay, well then, come in." And then she hangs up the phone. She goes back to me and she's like, "Okay, so then, Vince, you have to write on this line." You know what I mean? And that's how you end a podcast. All right. Like, subscribe, comment. This was A Few Goldilock Bears with Vincent Cloud.
John Emmett.
Pat Megan. So